Tonight on News 5 Live, the UDP questions removal of central bank governor. 15-year-old student shot on Magazine Road, and Tropical Storm Grace could dump a lot of rain on northern Belize. Details of these stories and more coming up on News 5 Live.
It's a fact that with Smart, you get truly unlimited everything. Only with Smart, you get unlimited data anytime, while with the other guy, it's only double data on weekends. With unlimited data every day with Smart, there's no need to wait. So, it's a fact that our unlimited plans beat the competition. Stop being measured and told when to use your data and get unlimited talk, text, and data. Experience the true unlimited plans with Smart. That's a fact. Make the switch and live smart.
Need a paint which offers superior quality and durability? Then the choice is easy. Designed specifically for your home's exterior, Benjamin Moore Ultra Spec EXT offers ultra smooth performance. It's easy to apply, has low odor, and is mildew resistant. Bring life to your home by choosing the color and sheen to suit your style. Benjamin Moore Paints, available at Benny's. Quality and savings.
The TV you love is always with you, from live TV, sports, and on-demand titles. Choose your plan today. Plans start as low as $15 per month. My TV, entertainment, anytime, anywhere.
Whether you're at home, on the road, at work, or at school, if you see news happening or suspect that something might be up, call or text the Channel 5 News Belize tip line at 672-5555. You don't have to give us your name, just give us the tip. That's 672-5555. Call or text us so we can check it out.
The Social Security Board, in collaboration with the Labor Department, takes this opportunity to remind insured persons of the requirements for compensation when on sick leave. Any employee who has worked with an employer for at least 2 months is entitled to 16 working days of sick leave with full pay every year. This is how it works. Upon approval of a sickness or injury benefit claim by SSD, 80% of the employee's weekly insurable earnings is paid as a Social Security benefit, and the difference in the employee's salary is paid by the employer. This is to ensure that the employee does not suffer any loss of wages when ill. After 16 days, compensation for sick leave is paid as a Social Security benefit only. Some conditions apply. This message is brought to you by the Social Security Board and the Labor Department. Social Security Board, safeguarding you, your family, your future.
How does the AstraZeneca vaccine work? The vaccine provides support to help your body develop immunity to the virus that causes COVID-19. The body is left with a supply of memory cells that will remember how to fight the virus. It takes a few weeks for the body to produce the antibodies after vaccination. How long does it take to build immunity after taking the first dose of the vaccine? There is protection 14 days after a person's first dose. However, that initial protection may decline over time, which is the reason why it is so important to get the second shot. How long after the first dose should one take the second dose? The second dose should be given between week 8 and week 12. Are there any deaths associated with the AstraZeneca vaccine? There have been no deaths associated with the AstraZeneca vaccine. Vaccines save lives. They remain the safest, most effective, and cost-effective medical tool developed. Increased uptake of the vaccine is the best way to stop this pandemic, save lives, and return to normalcy.
Here are 3 reasons why people choose Dunis as their #1 store. Reason 1, for loans of up to $1,000 in cash for unexpected emergencies. The process is quick and easy. Reason 2, for a wide variety of household items such as smart TVs, washers and dryers, stoves, refrigerators, freezers, cookware, back-to-school supplies, and much more. Check out our comfortable sofa sets in various sizes and styles. And reason 3, we are agents for Western Union, where you can send or receive money in minutes or pay all your utility bills and avoid waiting in long lines. And don't forget, Dunis provides layaway plans and credit on all household items. So make the right choice and shop for the best quality products at competitive prices with friendly customer service.
Dunis, located at number 57 Albert Street, Belize City, and in Corozal at number 8 Park Street South. Give us a call at 280-5209, 650-6580, or 422-3342. Dunis!
Good evening and welcome to News 5 Live for Tuesday, August 17th. I am Sabrina Daly. The abrupt and unceremonious departure of Central Bank Governor Gustavo Manuel Vasquez on August 13th raises many questions about whether due process was followed in terminating his appointment as Chief Financial Regulator. On Friday, Vasquez informed members of staff that he was being removed from the post, which he has held since being selected to succeed Ambassador Joy Grant in April. While little has been said by the Briceño administration to shed further light on what has transpired at the country's leading financial institution, the United Democratic Party is questioning Vasquez's firing. After all, Vasquez, who is eminently qualified, having established himself in the financial sector elsewhere, was on the job for less than 6 months. This morning, during a lengthy press conference, former Attorney General Michael Perifit highlighted a number of concerns surrounding Vasquez's termination. He began with the stipulations under the Central Bank Act.
So this news that came on Friday that he was terminated, well, I was interested to know, well, why? Because if he was terminated, then according to the Central Bank Act, there must be some reason. When you are a member of the Central Bank board, like a director or the governor, the only two things that disqualify you is if you become a member of the National Assembly, or if you become a director, officer, or other employee of a licensed bank or licensed financial institution. Is that what happened? And then Governor Vasquez then became disqualified? We don't know. If there was a termination by the Governor General, has anybody seen the termination letter? Only the Governor General can terminate the appointment of the governor. And that has to be because of the two reasons that came about: National Assembly or director of a financial institution. I haven't gotten any indication that Mr. Vasquez will be appointed a senator, so I don't know if that's the case. If he becomes the subject to any of the disqualifications above, if he becomes a bankrupt, an insolvent, compounds with his creditors or benefits under the law for the relief of a bankrupt, or makes any assignment in whole or in part of his income for the benefit of such creditors. Is that what happened? Has Mr. Vasquez become a bankrupt? We don't know.
Vasquez's letter to staff, which was read in its entirety this morning, speaks to protecting his integrity, his reputation, as well as that of the central bank. The big question raised by the UDP today is whether the independence of the regulatory body is being preserved under the current administration. The reason for the governor's sudden removal is yet to be fully disclosed by the Minister of Finance.
So, what makes this situation, to me, even more unacceptable than just the removal of a central bank governor is that we don't know. We don't know what's going on, and when we don't know what's going on, that is not good for stability. And you cannot have instability at the body that is a regulator whose job it is to promote stability. So we have great instability at the very body that is in charge of stability. If you follow this letter, and if this letter is real and in time, clearly what he's trying to say is that he believes that his integrity is maintained and that he tried his best to restore the integrity and operational autonomy of the central bank. The inference from this naturally is that he was not being allowed to do his job. He was not being allowed to do what he is responsible to do as the chief regulator of the financial system. That is what we get from the letter. But the question is, we don't know. Nobody's talking. There's no letter, there's no termination, there's no resignation. As far as the public is concerned, technically Mr. Vasquez is still the governor of the central bank. Although we know that he is supposed to leave, but on what basis?
The recent announcement that the government of Belize has contracted the services of SMART as a telecoms provider for various ministries, including Foreign Affairs and Rural Development, has been met with strong objections from various quarters. The president of the Public Service Union is on record stating his dismay with government's decision to transition from similar services being offered by BTL, a company which it owns. The United Democratic Party has also joined the chorus, criticizing the move as, quote, nepotistic and hypocritical, unquote. Former Minister of Trade and Economic Development, Tracy Panton, weighed in on the issue earlier today, pointing to the composition of shareholders in both companies.
Let me say that in the case of BTL, 49% of the shares is owned by the government of Belize. That is our taxpayers' dollars that have been invested. Another 34% have been invested by SSB. That, my friends, are our social security contributions that have been invested. And another 8% by the Central Bank of Belize. Whatever proceeds we get from our foreign exchange earnings, some of that have been invested in BTL. That is 91% of the shares that belong to the Belizean people. I say to you that this move is the most, in my humble view, egregious display of nepotism by the government, this current government, this blue government, this PUP government.
The United Democratic Party is calling on former Senator Mark Lizarraga, who has since taken up the post as chairman of BTL, to address the issue. According to Panton, Chief Executive Officer Ivan Tesekum has also spoken about the fact that there was no discussion with BTL on the transition prior to the decision being taken.
The CEO of BTL, and in that interview, he was clear. There was no dialogue at all with BTL in terms of the transferring of these services to SMART. He painted the picture that they are scrambling, BTL is scrambling to have conversations with FOs and heads of departments and CEOs in the various ministries so that they can try to keep BTL viable. Let me say it was February of this year when BTL had its virtual annual general meeting. And when the chairman spoke at that meeting, he said they were given a mandate. They were directed by the government of Belize to improve their targets, to improve the efficiency in which the company was run, to implement new services so that they could increase their revenues and sales, so that the monies that the Belizean people had invested in infrastructure at BTL could be returned at a higher rate. What hypocrisy!
The National Meteorological Services of Belize and NEMO issued an advisory today for Tropical Storm Grace, which was due west of Corozal town this afternoon. The storm is expected to continue its northward motion, making landfall in Mexico between Playa del Carmen and Tulum late Wednesday and early Thursday as a Category 1 hurricane. The Met Service says while Belize will be on the calmer side of the system, showers and thunderstorms will increase over the northern half of the country on Wednesday night and persist through to Saturday. Flooding is possible in low-lying areas, and winds are likely to become gusty, and sea conditions will become rough later on Wednesday. A small craft warning will likely be in place. A tropical storm or hurricane watch or warning is not required for Belize today, but the Met Office says they will continue to monitor the system. Belize is approaching the peak period of the hurricane season, so viewers are reminded to review their hurricane plan and to make arrangements for early movement to safety should NEMO advise the public to evacuate for this or any other storm. Channel 5 wins bit at the Caribbean Broadcasting Awards. Find out which of your favorite stories were recognized this year when we return.
Hello friends, this is Dr. Bob Roberts with another 60-second sermon from God's Word.
The Bible says, "But he whom God raised again saw no corruption. Be it known unto you therefore, men and brethren, that through this man is preached unto you the forgiveness of sins, and by him all that believe are justified from all things." Here is one of the greatest promises in the Bible. It is a promise of forgiveness to the vilest of sinners through Jesus, whom God raised from the dead. It is a promise almost too good to be true. That is why the promise is followed with this warning, beware therefore, lest that come upon you which is spoken of by the prophets. Behold, ye despisers and wanderers, and perish. For I work a work in your days, a work which you shall in no wise believe, though a man declare it unto you. I read the story of a man who had a rich aunt who died and left him $1 million. However, he had a serious heart condition, and they feared breaking the news to him might give him a heart attack. So they asked his pastor to break the news to him. The pastor very gently and flippantly said to him, Pete, you know that aunt of yours that recently died? She loved you so much that she left you $1 million. Thinking his pastor was only joking, he replied, well, preacher, if she did, I'm going to give half of it to you. So the preacher died of a heart attack. God promises forgiveness to the vilest of sinners. Don't lose it because it sounds too good to be true.
Today's 60-second sermon has been presented by Christian Foundations of Faith in cooperation with the Baptist churches in your area.
Digi is bringing the summer heat with their sizzling summer deals. Enjoy big savings on phones as low as $169. Unbeatably hot deals on the Samsung Galaxy A series, Amazon and Alcatel tablets, and so many more. You'll find remarkable deals on the latest models such as the Apple 12 Pro Max and the Samsung S21. Plus, for every device you purchase, you'll get $40, $60, or even $100 bonus credit. But it doesn't stop there. Every purchase also gets you a chance to win big in Digi's Back to School raffle for a package valued over $2,000. Digi's got that summer heat with their sizzling summer deals. For more information, visit our website at livedigi.com/summer deals or visit a Digi store near you today.
Whether you're at home, on the road, at work, or at school, if you see news happening or suspect that something might be up, call or text the Channel 5 News Belize tip line at 672-5555. You don't have to give us your name, just give us the tip. That's 672-5555. Call or text us so we can check it out.
And I got vaccinated to protect myself, my family, my patients, and my community.
Alright, good morning.
There's Happiness here. I got my vaccine because I want to protect my family, especially my patients, and everybody around me. Everybody I come in contact with.
Mi nombre es Luis Chinchilla. Me vacuné porque quiero proteger mis familias y mis pacientes.
I'm Dr. Nunes, internist at Solar Regional Hospital, and I got vaccinated to protect myself, my staff, and my patients.
Soy el doctor Eduardo García. He trabajado 22 años en Belice y yo me puse la vacuna del COVID por la sencilla razón de protegerme a mí mismo, proteger a mi familia y proteger al país de Belice, porque es importante pensar en Belice.
Another youth lies critically wounded as a result of a mid-afternoon attack on Magazine Road in Belize City. But contrary to other media reports, his father says his son was not involved in any gang-related activity. The family says Kasman Gill loves school and was looking forward to sixth form. Here's News 5's Marian Ali with this story.
15-year-old Kasman Gill is fighting for his life in Carl Hirschner Memorial Hospital, the victim of an attack on Magazine Road just a few minutes' walk from his home on Logwood Street. Gill was targeted shortly after 2 o'clock on Monday afternoon. The student had just left home en route to an event and was walking on Magazine Road towards Cemetery Road when the assailant accosted him on a bicycle. The gunman reportedly pointed a firearm at the teen and fired 3 shots at him, then rode down Magazine Road into Bannock Street. A seriously wounded Gill was rushed to the Carl Hirschner Memorial Hospital, where he remains in a coma. His father, Cecil Gill, vehemently refutes reports in other sectors of the media that his son was in any way tied to gangs. In fact, Gill says Kasman had big plans before his unfortunate shooting.
My son is a decent young man. 15 years old, HJC third form student, looking forward to go back to school. You know, want to go in class. He doesn't like the virtual setup. He wants to do in-class learning. Okay. So he was hoping that that's what would happen, and he wants to be a lawyer, right? So for them to have aired something like that, saying, you know, the shooting was gang-related. You know, my son has never been in a gang. My son doesn't go out. He stays at home. My son cannot tell you how the neighbor's yard look inside.
Gill says that after a year of being locked down due to COVID, he gave his son permission to attend an event that his classmate was having, and that was when bad luck struck.
Before we do anything, before we send them anywhere, we want to know the people that they are going around. So that for being locked down for over a year, we decided that, okay, we will give you a little break. Not even 5 minutes walk before he got shot.
Gill says the prognosis that the doctors gave on his son's condition is not good.
My son is hanging by a thread. According to the doctor, if he survives, he might not walk. He has 2 spinal injuries. Right? It's devastating to the family because I left him here healthy. And when I saw him again here, he was hooked up on tubes. You know, tubes all over him. These people, they don't know what they put families through when they do this. If you have a problem with someone, deal with who you have the problem with. You know, don't go around just shooting innocent people, picking on innocent people. Deal with the person that you have the problem with.
Information reaching our newsroom indicates that Kasman Gill may have been yet another victim of the overused term mistaken identity. Reporting for News 5, Marion Ali.
Police reportedly found 1 Aguila brand expended shell at the scene, but have no suspects at this time. The crime situation, particularly in Belize City, is spiraling out of control, notwithstanding a nightly curfew and other measures put in place amid the pandemic. Former law enforcement officer Elodio Aragon Jr. was also the Minister of State for Home Affairs during the UDP's term of office. According to Aragon, there is no plan in place by the present administration to meaningfully tackle the issue of crime and violence.
One of the saddest things to this is that having no plan means that there is no solution to the crime problem that is facing our communities across this country right now. And one of the biggest things that the PUP has failed on, apart from tackling of crime, is that they have failed to have any kind of meaningful dialogue and consultation with the people of this country. And why I say that? I say that because when you look at where we are right now with crime, man, everybody knows that we are not in good standing with crime in this country. It has gotten worse, and that is because we have the curfew in operation. Imagine if we did not have the curfew, how many more shootings would we not have had in this country during this time? Last year, the commissioner says they did well. They did well because curfew was installed.
In some sad news from southern Belize, a Canadian woman has apparently drowned at her resort in Hopkins. Jeanette Barkman, the 84-year-old owner of Jungle Genies by the Sea, went walking along the seashore early this morning. When she did not return, an employee became concerned and began to search. Her body was found in the water near the resort. A post-mortem examination will be carried out at the Southern Regional Hospital. Early this morning, News 5 received images of tires burning on the Cesar Ridge Road in Belize City. Questions immediately arose about whether this incident is related to the Christian Workers Union's notice of intended strike action against the Port of Belize Limited. We asked the president of the Christian Workers Union, Mose Hyde, if the union was preparing to take organized action today. He responded by text saying the union does not have anything official to say at present. CEO at the PBL, Andy Lane, told News 5 that while he heard of the fire near the port, there is no evidence that it is directly linked. CEO Lane went on to say that he is pleased with the progress of the ongoing negotiations with CWU on the collective bargaining agreement. We will continue to follow. 9 individuals have filed a constitutional claim in court against the Minister of Health and Commissioner of Police and the Attorney General in relation to Statutory Instrument 74. The claimants are frontline workers and private sector employees, including 3 police officers. Among a list of 12 reliefs, the claimants are seeking is for the court to declare that SI 74 is contrary to their rights to life, liberty, security of the person, and protection of the law. Their attorney is Arthur Saldivar. He spoke to News 5 earlier today.
The main thrust of the action against the Minister of Health and in particular, the police is mainly an agent who is carrying out the mandate set out by the SI, is in relation to the exercise of the power under Section 82A, which has apparently been exercised in a vacuum, which is not constitutionally sanctioned. If one were to take a close reading of the Constitution, in particular Section 18, which mandates that where there is a public period of emergency, within that period, the persons who are given power under particular legislation, particular ministries, are then able to exercise that power to make regulations, SIs. Now, there's a specific procedure in bringing about a public period of emergency. We've been through a few of them during the last administration, but to the best of my recollection, since the election was held in November, there has been no public period of emergency. Hence the reason it is the belief of my clients that the SI and the subsequent SIs that has followed 74 are all unconstitutional and illegal. This is not to say that all SIs are illegal and unconstitutional. Some SIs granted to particular ministers in ministries, for example, in education and in fact, I believe there was an SI recently that allows for Surinamese and Haitians to come to Belize without visas. Perfectly legal. It doesn't impede upon the fundamental rights and freedoms of Belizeans. It's not of universal application to Belizeans in our daily life. And as a result of that, it's fine.
A fixed date claim form was filed in the Supreme Court of Belize on Monday. The claimants are now waiting for a date from the court for the matter to be heard. But how does the court claim separate the argument of fundamental rights from what some may view as actions by an anti-vaxxer movement? The Belizean Rights and Justice Movement, which has publicly denounced the vaccine, says that they are behind the claim.
Within the document that I've seen, the legal document, there's arguments against the PCR test, and there's arguments also against, I think, perhaps the safety of the vaccine. And perhaps I may even interpret one of the points as questioning whether the virus even exists or whether the virus is even real.
When in the submission it is asked whether or not the minister has done anything or caused anything to be done to isolate the COVID-19 virus, that comes directly from a case that has been tried and won on that principle, on that basis. It's not denying the existence of the COVID-19 virus, but it is saying that if all the efforts to derogate the rights of the individual is coming from the presumption that this exists and that it is deadly, what have you done to isolate it to show that in fact it is deadly? Because this is the justification for the derogation of rights. Man, revolutions have been fought for these fundamental rights and freedoms to be recognized and protected. Okay, let's not have to fight another revolution after you take it away without cause and reason. So all we're saying, show us that you have done what is necessary to satisfy the individual that you have basically not just arbitrarily sought to take away our rights, but that you have actually done the research and you are satisfied that the state is in such a threat. And this is the thing. You see, you cannot have it one way or the other. You cannot say that this is a threat to the national existence without going through a public period of emergency.
In a release earlier today, the Belizean Rights and Justice Movement stated that because the claim has been filed, there can be no legal action taken against anyone in pursuant to SI 74 until the matter has been determined. In response, however, the Attorney General's ministry issued a release of its own, clarifying that there has been no court-ordered injunction against the enforcement of SI 74 and that these regulations are still in force and effect. After a one-year break due to the pandemic, the Caribbean Media Awards resumed this year with television and radio stations from across the region submitted stories produced and aired in 2019 and 2020. The award show is the culminating event of the 52nd Annual General Assembly of the Caribbean Broadcasting Union, held this year under the theme Media Collaboration, Relevance and Responsibilities in Periods of National Emergencies. This year's CMAs attracted 115 submissions from across the region. The submissions were screened and reduced to 9 nominees for 5 radio categories and 29 nominees for 10 television categories. Then, the panel of judges selected the top productions in each category. We are proud to announce that to our viewers that Great Belize Productions Channel 5 earned 6 awards in 5 of these 10 categories. Drumroll, please.
And the award goes to Great Belize Productions Channel 5 for the benefits of a migrant community, Spanish Lookout.
Frank Barkman and his family were some of the first Mennonites who came to settle in the then British Honduras way back in the late 1950s. Thousands of Mennonites left their homes in parts of Russia and Canada to live in Mexico.
Our judges would also like to make special mention of the piece Long Road to PSC in Southern Belize by Isani Cayetano, Kenro Michael and Rick Romero of Great Belize Productions Channel 5. And the award for Best Television Commercial Spot goes to Great Belize Productions Channel 5 for the Sgt. Pepper's Pasta ad.
From pizzas to pastas and burgers to wings, you find so many choices at Sgt. Pepper's.
And the award goes to Great Belize Productions Channel 5 for the serious and growing problem of obesity.
We have a problem with obesity. Even more concerning is it has started to affect our children.
And the award goes to Great Belize Productions Channel 5 for the neglected HIV vulnerable population.
The Ministry of Health statistics is showing persons 50 plus, 65 plus, positive HIV.
And the award goes to Great Belize Productions Channel 5 for Corona the Hawksbill embarks on an information gathering journey.
A 100+ pound hawksbill turtle, estimated to be older than 70 years, Corona the hawksbill turtle, is on her shell, flapping on the beach in Gales Point, Manatee. She's impatient to get on with her journey, but a small team of turtle conservationists can't allow her to leave just yet. Corona the hawksbill must be fitted with a small tracking device that will gather important information about her journey that will help to monitor her species that's critically endangered across the world.
The Caribbean Broadcasting Union's Caribbean Media Award is held once a year and is an event created to highlight outstanding work in the region in television, radio, digital, and print media. The ceremony will air tonight immediately following tonight's newscast. After the break, school will start again soon, but online. News 5 visits One Belize City High School for reactions to the last-minute change. But first, here's a look at the latest COVID-19 figures.
My name is Kenrick and I live in Belize City, and I am employed as an agent for a company that does reservations for hotels from all over the world. Since amputation, my life has changed minimally. Yes, I don't have my legs to get around, but I have always been an active person. So I do things a little bit more deliberate, a little bit more slower maybe, but I still get it done. Let's say they say we're going to some restaurant, wherever. I need to call and say, do you have access to a wheelchair? And they say, yes, of course. Then I would ask the second question, can I get into your restroom with a wheelchair? And then 99% of the time they'll say no. I would like to encourage everybody who has a disability to not give up. Never, 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 ever give up.
Live and let live. Respect for all Belizeans.
I saw the impacts of COVID-19, and I don't want to experience that again. That is why I took proactive steps to protect myself, my family, my fellow co-workers, visitors, and tourists.
I love seeing my guests happy, and my job is to give them a safe tour. By getting vaccinated, I achieve both these things.
By being vaccinated, I am doing my part to help.
Together, we can build our tourism industry by getting vaccinated. We encourage all tourism workers to get vaccinated so that tourists can continue to choose Belize as their destination of choice. The recovery of our tourism industry depends on you. Get vaxxed.
I was 17 and in love, and I thought he loved me too. But now I know that a loving partner should not take away your choice of clothes you wear or the music you listen to. He should not take away your purse, car keys, or your phone so that when your family calls, you cannot answer. If your partner is controlling you, it is domestic violence. Call 0800 A Way Out or our cell phone number 672-9628. This message is brought to you by the National Women's Commission in collaboration with Miss Universe Belize with funding from the Engender and Spotlight projects.
COVID-19 continues to wreak havoc across Belize's healthcare system, with the number of active cases increasing daily as we continue to experience a third wave of infections. When the pandemic began in 2020, the United Democratic Party government, led by former Prime Minister Dean Barrow, was at the helm. Since taking over, the Briceño administration has implemented its own measures to combat the spread of the virulent disease. While the opposition supports the vaccination effort, party leader Patrick Fauber says that government needs to make tests available for teachers and public officers.
We have great reasons to be concerned about this COVID situation. And I signal again that it is not only the government's responsibility, it is everybody's responsibility to ensure that we fight this deadly COVID disease. We, for the avoidance of doubt, support the vaccination effort, and we urge all to get vaccinated. But if for some reason an individual or a group of individuals, group of people say, we don't want to be vaccinated, then it is an obligation of the government to ensure that there are options for these people. That is the position of the United Democratic Party. In the public service and teaching, you know what the rules, what the SI says right now. You either get vaccinated or you have to get tested every 2 weeks, is it? And if the test isn't available free of cost, you will have to pay a private provider to get that test. Well, we make the call today on the government to make those tests available to the public servants and to the teachers or any other category of workers that work under the government and that are being told that they need to get these tests taken if they're not vaccinated. We call on the government to make sure that these tests are available for those people who choose that route.
Students, parents, and teachers were readying themselves for a safe return to face-to-face learning. But their return to campus has been pushed back indefinitely as the COVID numbers continues to rise. Today, a News 5 team stopped by St. Catherine's Academy as they were issuing laptops for virtual learning, as prescribed by the Ministry of Education this time.
We had Plan A. If we were all back in school, we had our Plan B for hybrid, and then a plan for only online. And so we are going to just make the adjustments and move forward.
Schools across the country were in final preparations for the safe return of face-to-face learning on campus. So the announcement by the Ministry of Education to continue with online learning due to the rising COVID-19 numbers came with some level of disappointment from teachers.
The teachers miss their students. They were looking forward to being in classroom. Teachers like to decorate their class, they select teams, they have birthdays, they look at down their list of students and start anticipating if they had the student before, if it's a new group. It's exciting to welcome the freshmen, they are excited. So it's always a first day of school. It's just special for teachers, for students, for parents. And so we were looking forward to that.
The disappointment is the same for students and parents, but for different reasons. One of the impacts of the pandemic is the inability for students to interact with their peers, hindering their social development skills.
I really wanted face-to-face schooling because I find myself that I focus a lot more in face-to-face schooling than I do in online, yeah. And I get to interact with most of my friends, yeah. And I don't have that type of interaction with them anymore.
How has it been for you?
At first it was complicated because you're worrying about either getting your work in at that certain time or you're worrying about the internet going off, and it brings a lot of anxiety on you.
Interacting with one another and getting to ask each other questions that they might not be really understanding what is happening in the subject area would have been a great asset for them, because being at home by themselves, they're actually teaching themselves, and it is really difficult for them to be doing that. It has been a real struggle, for the both of us, and to keep her grades at the standard. It is difficult. And she has some days whereby it is good and some days whereby it is bad. And I guess it depends on the mental condition at which they're in at the time.
The new school year is to commence on August 30th for primary schools and on August 23rd for secondary and tertiary schools. Today, the Ministry of Education met with senior administration from Belize District primary schools to address the way forward. At the St. Catherine Academy, students and parents were visiting the campus to receive the laptops that will be used as learning devices for the online school program.
We were ready and we were excited. We were looking forward to having the energy of our students back on campus. We knew that no matter what, we wouldn't have everybody, and our parents have the choice to do only online. As a result of our survey, we could determine that a good number wanted their kids to be in school too, so we knew that we would have had quite a good-sized population, the amount our campus can hold. And so, we just have to make the adjustments.
Dwayne Moody for News 5.
A recent survey has shown that a large number of students at all levels have dropped out of school due to the changes in learning instituted during the pandemic. Principal Salome Tillett also sits on the COVID-19 task force and is a member of the Belize Association of Principals of Secondary Schools. She spoke to News 5 about the young people who no longer have school as a safe space.
While we have made every effort to be resilient, we'll be innovative, we will make it work, there is still a sense of sadness and loss. Our young people are losing out. And not only losing out in their interactions, but a large number of them are not in school at all. So those are the kids we have to look on. We recently did a survey, and of approximately 20 schools that had responded, there are about 300 kids that have dropped out of the system. So we wonder, where are those kids? If they are boys, what are they doing all day? You know, there's an assumption that students are safe at home. That may not be true. They may not be safe at home. They may be on the street. And home may be an unsafe and unsupervised place. So school was that safe place for them. And so I think for all of us educators, and I'm sure it's true for the Ministry of Education as well, we are concerned about those kids that we are not reaching.
Scratch and Win has launched several new games ranging from $1 to $10 with prizes up to $250,000. Scratch and Win says it has raised payouts over 80%, making more opportunities for winners like Antonio. He bought his $3 ticket from a store in Corozal and won $50,000. You heard right, $50,000. We got a chance to speak to the lucky winner today.
Es algo que no sabes ni cómo sentirte. Te sientes nervioso, te sientes que no lo puedes creer.
What will you do with this money?
A empezar, debo aún parte de mi casa y pues voy a cancelar lo que debo y lo que quede, pues hay unos negocitos.
Tell us, where did you buy this ticket?
¿Dónde compraste el boleto? En Corozal, en el College Road, hay una tienda que se llama One One. Ahí lo compré.
Are you a usual buyer?
Oh, sí, siempre he comprado. De 5, de 10, de $1, de 2, pero en este caso fue de 3.
What do you tell to people that continue to buy and haven't won as yet?
No, pues a veces es excitante, así es lo que es el gambling, pues tú se gana y se pierde, pero algo así no te lo esperas. Esa es una sorpresa.
There's more news after the break. Stay with us.
Smart continues to expand its internet coverage countrywide to help you live a smarter life.
Our villagers are very happy. They are pleased to know that Smart went the extra mile to put a tower in our village so that our villagers can get live stream on their TVs and they can get their kids doing their online classes. I want to say to Smart, thank you for making it possible for us to get internet in Gardenia Village. We really do appreciate it.
Smart continues to take the internet and mobile services to communities across Belize. Now save even more when you bundle your Smart broadband with Smart mobile services. Smart, bringing people together.
As one of the largest cable and internet providers in Belize, CBC strives to provide our customers with the highest standards of quality, value, and service in all aspects of cable TV and internet. Monitoring our systems closely, our technicians combine creative planning and state-of-the-art technology with years of experience and training to develop and provide the most reliable and advanced cable and internet service to exceed your expectations. For CBC and our team of talented engineers, technicians, and customer service representatives, delivering less than the very best is never an option.
Hey son, how was your first day at sixth form?
Really cool.
It was great to see my friends, and I really love my teachers.
I'm so happy to hear that. I'm sorry I wasn't there for your first day, but I'll be back from Corozal next week.
It's okay, Dad. I can't wait to see you. Oh, and please remember, I still have some books I need to purchase.
Ah, yes. Let me e-cash you that right now. Money has been sent, and I add a little extra cash just for you.
Whoa, Dad. Thanks. Got it.
You're welcome, sir.
Download the eCash app today and take your first step into a cashless lifestyle. For more information, visit www.e-cash.com or contact us via WhatsApp at 613-0257. eCash, the future is here.
And I got vaccinated to protect myself, my family, my patients, and my community. Good morning, Nurse here. I got my vaccine because I want to protect my family, especially my patients, and everybody around me, everybody I come in contact with. Mi nombre es Nurse Chinchilla. Me vacuné porque quiero proteger mis familias y mis pacientes.
I'm Dr. Nunes, internist at Solar Regional Hospital, and I got vaccinated to protect myself, my staff, and my patients.
Soy el doctor Eduardo García, he trabajado 22 años en Belice y yo me puse la vacuna del COVID por la sencilla razón de protegerme a mí mismo, proteger a mi familia y proteger al país de Belice, porque es importante pensar en Belice.
A document circulating on social media claiming to be a legal opinion from a former prosecutor argues that there is a case for Corporal Karim Martinez to be charged for murder. Corporal Martinez, as we have reported, stands accused of killing 14-year-old Laddie Gillett on a beach in Placencia with his service-issued weapon while on duty a few weeks ago. While the social media post is anonymous, its author claims that Martinez's decision to fire from close proximity is an indication of intent to kill. He or she further states that what occurred after the shot was fired reinforces that Martinez had formed the specific intention to kill the moment he fired the shot. Commissioner of Police Chester Williams responded to the anonymous post.
As a lawyer, I don't believe that document was written by one of my colleagues. If it is, then that colleague needs to go back to law school. It is not even as good as what a paralegal would do, because the truth of the matter is, one of the cases that the person used in the argument was a case against Michael Fox, when Michael Fox shot and killed, I think, the guy Bradley on a bridge near East Collette Canal. Now, if you look at the circumstances or the facts of that case, was that the evidence given by the witness in that case was that Michael Fox went in that area, stooped down, waited for the victim to come, and fired 4 to 5 shots at the victim, hitting and killing him. Now, you can clearly distinguish that case from what happened with Martinez's case. In the case with Martinez, he was a police officer on duty, responding to a call from a member of the public. He fired one shot, not multiple, one shot. And unfortunately, that shot caught and injured and subsequently killed the young man. Now, how can you compare those two cases? Even if it were that Michael Fox, in that particular case, had not caught the disease, and just fired 5 shots. The fact that he fired several shots would clearly prove an intent to kill. But when you just fire 1 shot, the gun that you have carries 15 rounds and you only fire 1, how can you arrive at an intent to kill?
If you fire a shot at someone less than 50 feet away, pointing at them, not shooting it a warning shot style, do you not have intent to kill, specific intent to kill?
It depends, Jules, on where you aim. Okay, if you aim for a person's head and you catch that person in the head, the law dictates, or one would say, that the probability of shooting someone in the head and that person survive is very, very slim. So if it can be proven that he shot the person in the head, then you can say that there was a clear intent to kill.
As police commanders from across the nation gathered at the Police Training Academy in Belmopan on Monday to plan the department's response to crime, we asked the Commissioner of Police to speak on the recent increase in murders, particularly those which are gang-related or during curfew.
The matter in Belize City, where in the West Landiva area, again, people socializing after hours in their backyard. Police cannot see what they're doing there. The socializing went bad over a domino game, and again, alcohol involved. 1 person killed another. Those are beyond the scope of the police. Now, as it relates to last night, the shooting in the Mayflower area, while it was during curfew, these are people who live in the same neighborhood. And you would know, Jews, that the police would not normally go into Mayflower proper to police, to patrol. We just patrol the outskirts. And so they move around within the area, and they went and did what they wanted to do. Unfortunately, the person of interest in that particular case was shot and killed this morning in the St. Martin's area. We have discussed this morning as commanders with a view to see how we're going to forge a way forward. And I will be speaking with my minister today to see if we can make certain recommendations in respect to that. Like you said, last year was good, but we had a number of lockdowns last year, including 3 months lockdown for the gang members in Belize City. So perhaps that is what they want, so we'll see where we can go with that.
2 police officers who are also in trouble with the law are Wilton Justin Montero and Jerome Emmanuel Ingram. They were both charged for harm after being caught on camera assaulting a detainee who was already handcuffed and incapacitated. That man was later identified as David Smalls of Santa Elena. Commander of the Professional Standards Branch, Senior Superintendent Calbert Flowers, gave us an update on this case.
2 police officers have been arrested and charged for harm. They are currently out on bail. They had been arraigned in front of the Magistrates Court in San Ignacio. Apart from the criminal charges, they have also been charged disciplinary for those conduct. All of our officers have received training. They are well trained. However, when they are out there on their own, they have a mind of their own. But our police department, we continue training. Every Thursday we have what we call in-service training, where different trainings are being implemented on these police officers. And we have a very, very good working relationship with the Employee Assistance Program from the Public Service. And these officers that go through that we receive this type of report about, we refer them to counseling.
Last night, we brought you details of the Monday morning session of the Commission of Inquiry into the sale of a number of government vehicles at the end of the UDP administration. The afternoon session continued in much the same way, with witnesses explaining how they located and bid on vehicles and the status of those vehicles today. While the morning witnesses tended to be well-connected members of the UDP, in the afternoon there was a private citizen, an employee of the Ministry of Health and part-time driver for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Like all the others, they put in bids to the Government Vehicle Repair Unit or the Financial Secretary. None of them had any idea how these parties valued and the vehicles or why their bids were accepted immediately or the prices revised upwards. There was a brief appearance by Ermin Ailman, who bought a 2011 Dodge Ram for $15,000. He claims he was only able to repair it and get it running for a few months before it had to be parked again. Dr. Javier Zuniga of the Ministry of Health bought a 2010 Isuzu D-Max he described as dilapidated for $3,500 and was able to get it up and running again. He now uses it for his San Ignacio commute. Glenn Shepard, who had been a part-time driver for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs during the referendum, and his brother bought two Mazda pickups years 2009 and 2013, which had no engines, for $1,200 and $1,000. After investing thousands of dollars of their own money, both are running again.
The vehicle needed overhauled. It
needed an overhaul?
It needed an overhaul. So I had to overhaul the vehicle. I can give you a report here from the mechanic.
Yes, but why did the government consider it uneconomical to repair?
It was going to cost approximately $6,000 to repair the vehicle. So at the time, due to the economic situation, I guess, when they wrote it off and it was unserviceable in terms of couldn't be put into service, it needed major repairs.
I thought unserviceable meant it couldn't be repaired.
Unserviceable means it cannot be put into service. It could be due to X reasons, it could be due to major repairs, or it could be due to the vehicle being totaled.
Okay. The price that it was approved to be sold to you was $3,500, $500 more than you had offered. Are you able to see how government came up with that price?
I wouldn't know, sir.
They approved it, but the one that I bid $500 for, when I received the acceptance letter, it said $1,000.
The bid for $1,200 was accepted?
Yes, sir, it was.
The second bid for $1,000 was in the name of Mr. Ernesto Timbrell?
No.
Who is Ernesto Timbrell?
I don't know. When I applied it, I didn't put anybody else's name in there. If you check my letter, the letter that I applied for both vehicles.
Yes, but I'm looking at the approval letter, and one was approved to Glenn Shepard and the other to Ernesto Timbrell.
I was not aware of that, sir. I know I got two letters stating that they approved both vehicles that I bid for, and I went and I paid for them.
All right. The 2013 Mazda, that was the one you bid $1,200 for?
Yes, sir.
And the $1,200 was approved?
Yes, sir.
So you won that bid at
yes.
All right. It may have been a different car. And the 2009?
I bid $500, but they didn't approve that bid. They gave it for $1,000.
Yes. And you accepted that and paid the $1,000?
Yes, I accepted it.
Yes. Are those vehicles in working condition today?
Yes, sir.
You repaired both of them?
I repaired one and my brother repaired the other one.
It is not clear as yet this point precisely what the Commissioner of Inquiry members, led by Chairman Andrew Marshallek, are looking for during their line of questioning. But during Monday's session, they did ask repeatedly who the bids were addressed to, if the witnesses had any idea how the valuation of the vehicles were made, if the purchasers had been able to repair vehicles which had been described by the government of the day as unserviceable, and were these former pieces of government property now in working condition. Officials from several ministries, the Development Finance Corporation and the Central Bank of Belize, as well as stakeholders in academia, will meet on Friday to put forth an outline for how to boost economic development in Belize. News 5 spoke with CEO in the Ministry of Economic Development, Dr. Osman Martinez, about the range of issues that will be examined Friday.
The objective of it is to start the medium-term strategic plan, the discussion, and to put forward the main pillars, which are: one, to enable a friendly environment for investors; two, to reduce or eradicate corruption within the government; three, to put a proper plan to reduce poverty; then to introduce science and technology; to enhance exports and reduce imports, social protection inclusion, and digital transformation. And every dollar that is being spent is a taxpayer's dollars. And we need to protect that investment, no? That taxpayers' money have to be protected. The first thing that we are looking at to eradicate poverty is to improve the education system. There has to be an education reform. The second one is that we need a healthy nation. We have around 44,000 businesses that falls within the MSMEs. If each one of them would generate one job per year, we will be generating 44,000 jobs. So we need to empower, we need to enable an environment for the MSMEs in order to move forward. We are focusing in assisting the MSMEs, and that is very important because the MSMEs should be the backbone of the Belize's economy.
CEO Martinez commented on the changes to Belize's gross domestic product over the past 9 months.
The GDP in the third quarter of 2020 was negative 23%. But it is more important to note that the GDP has been in decline since 2019, in the third and fourth quarter of 2019, which means that since 2019, GDP has been on the reverse. Then it went to 30% in the first quarter of 2021, and then in the second quarter of 2021 is at 8%. So now we have to see how we move this vehicle forward. However, going from 23 to 13 to 8, there has been an increase in the GDP. Now, going forward, there are two main things that the government have to do. One is you have to have a sustainable debt. And two, you have to stimulate the economy.
Dr. Martinez says that while Belize does not have unlimited cash, it has grants that it has received for years that were to be used to implement different projects. Once those projects are started, he feels these would help to further stimulate Belize's economy. Just ahead, News 5 goes into search of Ding Ding Walla Walla. What we found out about its origins and possible copyright infringement may surprise you. But first, here's a look at the latest at the weather forecast from the Belize Met Service.
At Belize Diagnostic Center, we offer FDA-approved PCR testing for COVID-19. Get your results as quickly as 1 hour. Don't risk getting exposed to COVID-19 by going elsewhere. We take appointments, or we can come to your home or office using our concierge service with no additional fees. We have 10 locations countrywide. Call or WhatsApp us at 613-TEST. That is 613-8378 to schedule your test today.
Why, Tony?
Why, kid, what you going on, man?
But actually come see you because I need to buy a stack of them plastic plates and cups for my grocery shop because I run low.
Boy, I stopped importing that thing since April 15th, you know. And I just ran out of the last batch, must have been like 3 weeks back, you know.
Man, do I usually have that thing? What is going on?
Check this, right? Under the new law, we ban all single-use plastics, so that the cups, plates, forks, spoons, and knives, all of that. Since April 15th, can't import none of them. Starting January 15, 2021, you can't manufacture them. April 15, 2021, you can't sell them. And after July 14, 2021, if you get catch with any other thing, you will get fined.
Me never know this. I guess I have to make some changes then. I have to make the customers know that anything not available. Anyways, bro. Thanks, man.
No problem, man. Take care.
un hecho. Únicamente con Smart obtienes todo realmente ilimitado. Solo con Smart obtienes datos ilimitados en cualquier momento. Mientras que con el otro proveedor solo son datos dobles los fines de semana. Con datos ilimitados todos los días no hay necesidad de esperar, así que es un hecho que nuestros planes ilimitados superan a la competencia. Por lo tanto, no permita que le digan cómo y cuándo usar sus datos y obtenga llamadas, mensajes de texto y datos ilimitados. Vive la verdadera experiencia de planes ilimitados con Smart. Es un hecho. Haga el cambio y viva Smart.
Intellectual property is a private property right in the same way that a person owns a house or a car. So even if your neighbor sees something happening in your house, if it is not illegal, they really cannot intervene. You as the property owner are the one that has to come forward and speak out. It's the basis of a discussion over the rights to a song, which was made popular in Belize by music icon Lila Vernon, but has recently appeared in a video by a Guatemalan singer, Kimberly Flores. Today, News 5 spoke to intellectual property attorney Marissa Longsworth on what has become a hotly debated issue and why sorting out ownership of music is no easy task.
When I signed, I didn't really know what was in my contract.
I created it, so I felt like it should belong to me. That said, the companies felt otherwise, and they would always hold this contract up and say, well, you signed it.
I want to be able to be 100% in control over my career. I don't want to work all these nights in the studio and somebody else get to say so for how I move, when I move, or when I drop.
Believe it or not, these well-known international artists are a few among many who have been battling copyright issues when it comes to the lyrics, the rhythm, and even performance of their hit songs.
The biggest aspect of copyright is who made it originally, who was the first to make the work of art or the creative work. When you look at a song, you're listening to one song, you're hearing various elements in a song. There are lyrics, which could be owned by someone who wrote those lyrics. There is a musical composition like a keyboard and a guitar in the background. Those could have been owned and remain owned by the guitar player and the keyboard player. You also have the performance. So for example, maybe a lot of people don't know that many of Beyonce's songs, she didn't write it. She didn't write the music for it. All she does and all she collects royalties from is performing. So you have performers' rights in there as well. And then you have what we call the rights to the master or the sound recording. Now the master is after the producer has cut it, edited it, added in other sound effects, etc., and created what you hear on the radio.
So when one of Belize's popular Creole songs, Ding Ding Walla Walla, as we've come to appreciate and know as Lila Vernon's, was circulated in a Spanish version as the newest track of Guatemalan singer Kimberly Flores, it was met with consternation. A large number of Belizeans, including the Ministry of Culture, reacted and are of the opinion that there was copyright infringement.
Copyright law is a part of intellectual property which covers works of creativity. So it covers music, it covers art like paintings and sculptures, it covers performances, various aspects of creative works are covered under copyright. So of course, because this is a song and there is a question as to ownership of the rights to the song or even parts of the song, then we are automatically starting to look at origin and originality. It's possible that the people that you are familiar with on the radio as singing and performing actually have no ownership rights whatsoever. What that means is that the owner has the right to then shop his rights around to other people and say, well, you like this song in English, you want to do it in Spanish, you want to do it in French, pay me for that right. Or do you like the melody but you don't like the words? Pay me for the melody. You don't need to buy the words.
So who owns the rights to Ding Ding Walla Walla?
The Belizean Society of Composers, Authors, Publishers, better known as BizCap, among other persons from the creative arts industry, are questioning whether in fact there is any copyright violation. BizCap says that research must be done, but the traditional Belizean song appears to be a public domain work. Intellectual property attorney Marissa Longsworth says that cultural expressions such as these would take extensive research to determine who owns the rights to the songs, if any.
It gets a little bit more complex as well when we look at the situation here, where we are coming to understand that this might actually be what we call intangible cultural heritage. Intangible cultural heritage is a generational passing down of culture by way of dance or fashion or folk songs. Is this considered a folk song? Can we predate it to a point where we can say it has passed down generationally to be considered a folk song? If it can't be considered a folk song, there must have been an owner at one point in time. How similar are they? Are they similar in part, or are they similar to the point that they're basically identical? Because that's a test that we start to apply if you have two songs. First of all, are they similar enough to be considered that one must be infringing on the other? And if so, which one was first? Which one was the original? Because that one that predates the similar one would then be considered by a court as the rights holder. You can actually have a new creation that has elements of an old creation that is substantially new enough to create its own copyright. So then, you could look at it and say, was the traditional Creole song played at this pace? Was it using these similar instruments? Was there anything substantially different about what traveled through the years versus what we're actually listening to now? Do we even have history of that? Do we have recordings of it being done in a traditional setting? Are we just going by people's storytelling to say, no man, I hear this from my great granny time, and so that way before, what are we basing it on to say that indeed this has been a traditional cultural expression developed over time?
The oldest recording of the song that can be found online on YouTube is an instrumental version released back in 1975 and listed as traditional music. It was released by Contemporary Electronic Systems, or CES, of Belize City. Another version was recorded in 1988 on the My Homeland by the Sea album, which credits it as a Belizean folk song. There's also a more recent interpretation from 2016 by the Belize Melody Swingers. Dwayne Moody for News 5.
And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Sabrina Daly. Thanks for joining us. And from all of us here at News 5, please remember to wash your hands, keep your social distance, and stay safe. Good night.